I never imagined I would be sitting here in my quiet little kitchen with such a confused heart. It all started the day Michael left my daughter, Clara. Divorce was inevitable. They had been drifting apart for years, their laughter replaced by silence and their shared moments replaced by resentment. As I watched from the sidelines, my heart ached for both of them, especially Michael, who seemed to have lost himself in mental anguish. Michael had always been more than just Clara's husband to me. He was kind, considerate, and had a knack for making everyone around him feel noticed. When he first came into our lives, I accepted him as a son, and over the years he became the son I never had. So when the marriage broke up, I didn't sever my relationship with him like most mothers would have done. Instead, I reached out to him, offered him a cup of coffee, a shoulder to lean on, and a place where I would be understood. One rainy afternoon, Michael came by to pick up the last of his things. Clara was at work, and I was alone in the house. He looked tired, as if the weight of the world had fallen on his shoulders. His eyes, usually so bright, were dull and heavy with sadness. I invited him in, and we sat at the kitchen table, the rain tapping softly against the window. I could see the exhaustion on his face, the slight trembling of his hands holding the coffee cup. He looked so lost, and all I wanted to do was bring him some semblance of comfort. We talked for hours that day, about Clara, about the pain of losing a loved one and the emptiness that follows. I listened to his words, feeling a strange ache in my chest, a deep sympathy that grew into something I couldn't name. As the light outside the window faded, I reached across the table and placed my hand on his arm. He looked up at me, and in that moment, something changed. There was a softness in his gaze, a longing that mirrored my own. It was as if we both realized that we were no longer just relatives, but two souls seeking comfort. What happened next was not planned. It was a moment born out of loneliness, out of the deep connection we had always shared. Michael stood up and I followed him, my heart pounding in my chest. He pulled me into his arms, and I felt a warmth I hadn't felt in years. His lips found mine, and suddenly the world around us disappeared. It was just us, two broken souls seeking comfort in each other's arms. In that brief moment, nothing else mattered, not the consequences, not the pain it would cause, just the feeling that we were wanted and needed by each other. After that day, everything changed. We kept our love a secret, hiding it from the world, from Clara. I knew it was wrong, I knew the risks we were taking, but I couldn't stop. With Michael, I felt alive again. We stole moments when we could, quiet dinners at my house when Clara wasn't home, walks in the park where no one knew us, whispered conversations late at night. He made me feel beautiful, nurtured me, and for the first time in years I allowed myself to be selfish. I began to look forward to these moments, anxiously waiting to meet him, anxiously prowling nearby. It was as if I had been given a second chance at life, and I wasn't ready to miss it. But the guilt was always there, lurking in the shadows. I loved my daughter more than anything, and I knew that if she ever found out, it would break her. One day I tried to put a stop to it, told Michael that we couldn't keep doing this, that it wasn't fair to Clara. But he looked at me, his eyes filled with tears, and told me that he loved me, that I was the only thing keeping him going. And I stayed. It was selfish, I knew that, but the thought of losing him, of going back to the emptiness I'd felt before, was too unbearable. There were times when I would lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long we could go on like this. The fear of being discovered was constant, a perpetual weight on my chest. I thought about Clara, about the life she was trying to rebuild, and guilt slammed into me like a tidal wave. But then I thought about Michael, the way he'd looked at me, the way he'd touched me, and I realized I couldn't let him go. He needed me and I needed him, and somehow that justified all the risk. We found joy in the smallest things, eating a meal together, watching a movie curled up on the couch, the way his hand touched mine when no one was looking. These moments, however fleeting, became an anchor for me. I knew that what we had couldn't last forever, that sooner or later something would have to give. But for now I settled for the present, holding on to the love we found amidst the wreckage of our lives. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe one day the truth will come out and I'll lose everything, the daughter, the family, the love I found with Michael. Maybe Clara will hate me, and I'll be left with only the memories of what we once had. But for now, I hold on to those stolen moments, to the happiness we found in each other. It may not be quite right, but it's real, and in this uncertain world, that's enough for me. I've realized that love is rarely simple, and sometimes the most complicated love is the one that feels the most real. And now, sitting here in my quiet little kitchen, I know that no matter what happens, I will always treasure these moments, these feelings, and the love that Michael and I shared.